Thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Maddie Wazorek. I am the Vice Chair of the ADA Accessibility Committee. This meeting is now called to order. Please silence all electronic devices for the duration of this meeting. Welcome to the May 16th HART ADA Accessibility Committee meeting. This meeting format is hybrid. Quorum is physically present at the HART Administration Office, 1201 East 7th Avenue, Florida Conference Room, and the rest of the board members are participating via communication media technology. Pledge of Allegiance. An image of the flag is displayed. Please stand if you are able to join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay, first action will be for the committee to introduce themselves for the committee and community. Please state your name and mention if you are representing an organization or attending on anyone's behalf. I will start and we will move around the table. My name is Maddie Wazorek. I work with the GROW Group. We help individuals with finding and maintaining employment in the Tampa Bay community.
I'm Diane Luce. I work for Lighthouse for the Blind and Low Vision in Tampa. I'm an orientation and mobility specialist.
My name is Marion Guizdala. I'm a patron, and I represent the National Federation of Blind. Do I need to do that again?
Sure. Yeah, let's go ahead and do it again so that way everybody.
Here we go.
All right, there we go. Okay. All right, my name is Marion Guizdala. I'm a HART patron, and I represent the National Federation of the Blind.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Davidson Anastal. I'm here on behalf of Ms. Brenda Bailey, Director of Legal Services.
Bobby Edwards, Director of Transportation.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Catherine Sanchez, Customer Service Supervisor for HART.
Do we have anybody virtually?
I think they said they had to step away.
Yes. And I'm the director for the McDonald Training Center.
Okay. I'm sorry, could you reintroduce yourself again, please?
Yes. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, now we can.
Okay, great. I'm Phyllis Guthman, and I am the Director of Advancement for McDonald Training Center.
Raquel, I know you just sat down, but we were introducing ourselves. If you'd like to, I think you're the last one. Thank you.
Good afternoon.
Before Raquel starts, I'm sorry, Raquel. I just wanted to inform you that we're having an annual event here with hundreds of people, so I will have to step in and out of this meeting. My apologies.
Thank you for letting us know.
Hi, I'm Raquel Pancha, the ADA Coordinator with the City of Tampa.
Okay, do we have any more virtual people? No. Okay, thank you. The next agenda item is public comment. As a reminder, this is for the public to provide comments. We ask that the committee members hold all discussions on these items until the roundtable discussion or new old business of the agenda. Each speaker has 3 minutes to speak, which will be monitored by staff. Staff, please proceed with facilitating public comment.
There is no public comment, and Commissioner Cepeda did join online.
Okay.
Oh, you would like to provide public comment? There is.
Yes, I'm here. Oh, we don't, we would need to. Yes, because microphone is there, we don't have a.
Here. My name is Louise Payton. I'm a community resident as well as a member of the National Federation of the Blind. On April 27th, after leaving a meeting of the National Federation, there were 3 of us on a van, and we picked up one other person, dropped them off, went to Brandon, and I happened to live in South Tampa. There was another van with 2 other South Tampa residents on that van. Why I wasn't included in that group, I have no idea. But I was on the van from 2:15 until 5:10 on a Saturday afternoon. There is no excuse for that. I would like to be a fly on the wall to find out how the manifests are worked out through the software. Something needs to be changed, seriously. I appreciate being able to take Uber, and if there were no vans, then Uber would be appreciated, not a trip to Brandon when I live in South Tampa. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. I think we heard we had a virtual public comment.
I don't have anyone else pre-registered or registered, and only Cepeda, Commissioner Cepeda did join online was my notification.
Okay, I thought I heard something. I apologize. Are there any other comments before we move on? Okay, this concludes the public input section of the meeting. Next are the meeting minutes from February 15th, 2024, ADA Accessibility Committee meeting. Are there any comments or corrections?
Seems like a minor comment, but it's a kind of a major one to us. The organization is National Federation of the Blind, rather than for the blind. It's Organization of Blind People.
That is very important, and I think that should be corrected. Did you guys get that? To make those edits? Okay, great.
I move acceptance of the minutes.
I second.
We do not have a quorum today, so we're going to move the voting of this until the next meeting. Okay. Next is the presentation on the Ambassador Program. Mr. Stephen Fields, Manager of Logistics and Transit Services, you are recognized to present.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, board members, Mr. Bobby Edwards, Director of Transportation. My name is Stephen Fields. I'm the Manager of Transit Logistics and Supervision, and today I'm here to present the Operation Ambassador Pilot Program. It's a program that our CEO and Mr. Bobby Edwards came up with as into helping out our patrons and our operators throughout the paratransit system. As you know, you hear the word ambassadors. If you ever travel to any other city around the world, they have people that wear red shirts or have on vests that indicate they're there to assist you, as in finding places, point of interest, and other things that they do. So we came with a program that we adopted to see would it work here in our transportation part that we does. So our members, there we go. All right, so our paratransit ambassadors, Ms. Letitia Jones, which is the president of local ATU 1583, and Ms. Sarah Bimbo, the chief steward. So what we did, we worked out a plan to cooperate with the union so that we were able to work with them and the company at the same time to make sure that we are on the same page as in what we're doing business and how we look at our customers. So we got the leadership of the union and leadership from operations, and we came up with this ambassador program so that way we're able to get out to help. So these two young ladies, they're in-house, operator testimonies. What they did was that they go in and make sure the load balancing of the runs are done early in the morning. And what load balance is that to make sure that the right amount of people are on the right amount of vans we have available that's out there. It is not a perfect system. They're eyeballing this to make sure that it's correct based on our computer system at the same time to make sure that we have a clear understanding as in how many people on which van and what location they're going to. So that way you don't have to travel all over the town like the young lady mentioned earlier during her open testimony. It has changed the environment with the operators because now we zone them in different areas. We zone them so they stay in a particular area so that way they stay in the same area picking up the same amount of people. We do have some that travel outside their zone because we don't have people that might come from Ruskin that's going to Carrollwood. That's outside their zone. So some vans do travel outside their zone to get to another zone, but more often they stay in their zone. That has helped the operators. We was averaging about 205 miles per day per van. Now you say 205 miles, that's not a lot. Well, actually, it is a lot. We was only averaged about 120 pre-COVID. Now we're up to 205. So that's a lot of miles we're putting on the van, extra 80 miles per day that we're putting on there. So that's more gas, more maintenance, all that. So we're changing that so that way we make that mileage come down. And it's a lot easier on the operators because imagine you driving 205 miles per day. That's a lot of driving. So those are things that they have assisted us to do to make this program work. Also, in our fixed route ambassadors, which is Elaine Carballo, who is the vice president of the local union, ATU 1593, Angela Reed, recording secretary, and Valero Ramos, which is an operator. What they do, they go out and they're at our transfer centers. They're there to make sure that anyone who might need assistance, as in loading wheelchairs, as in helping people on the bus, giving directions, also helping out the operators, because we do have a group that we hired. A lot of operators are brand new, so sometimes routes are confusing sometimes. So they got to help them out a little by assisting them as in which way to go and how they can navigate their route safely. As you see on the chart I have in front of me, it's a complaint comparison of October to December of 2022 to October, December 2023. The one in blue, we had 97 complaints that was in 2022 compared to complaints that we had in the following year. So if you look at it, 97, we dropped it down to 27. That's a big difference, as in how the ambassador program helped. The complaints went down by 70%. And then if you look at the other, that's van arrival times. The other complaints was we had 139 complaints, as in the appointment time, that went down to 98. So that's a big number, also a 25% decrease. So both of those are 70% on the van arrival time and a 25% on the appointment time. Also, we did the second quarter. The second quarter is from January to March of 2023 and January to March of 2024. Van arrival time schedules for the January of 23 was 94 complaints. That went down to 51. Also from January to March, we dropped that number. It went from 24 to 49. So it increased just a little. On-time performance. On-time performance, everyone want to be on time. Everyone like to arrive at the time they're supposed to be, but sometimes environment gets in our way from accidents, incidents, road hazards, mechanical breakdowns. From October, December of 22, we had 77% on-time performance schedule. That went up to 95%. October, December of 23, we had on-time performance at 84, that went up to 87%. On-time performance for the second quarter, January of 23, January, March of 23 to January, March of 24. I think that's the lady who's at a meeting. Can you? Okay. So on-time performance for the second quarter, January, March of 23, the scheduled on-time performance was 75%. Appointment time was 92.14. January, March of 24 increased to 84%, and also an increase of 96% of appointment time, on-time performance. So they both have increased. This program has allowed us to raise our on-time performance a small number, but imagine being on time 90-some percent versus 80-some percent. That has put you as the customer where you need to be as in the time that we get you there based on your appointment time. Our ridership. If you take our ridership from 2019, which is pre-COVID, into our post-COVID of 2023, our ridership was 196,897 trips we made. In 2023, we made 230,000 trips, 811. That is a big jump. We have increased our ridership over the last 5 years, almost 35%. And the next column is the van revenue miles. In 2019, we did 1,800,000. In 2023, we did 2 million miles, as in van revenue miles. Then you got the van revenue hours. That's how long a van would stay on the road if operated behind the wheel. In 2019, we did 120,000 hours. In 2023, we did 131,000 hours of van on the road. And the next column, PPRM, that's person per revenue miles. How many people on the van per revenue miles? In 2019, we was at 0.11. We're still at 0.11 in 2023. That is a good number to stay at. But our points per revenue, person per revenue hour is where we increased that, because the national average is 1.5. In 2019, we did 1.63. In 2021, we did 1.33. And in 2023, we did 1.75. We're 25% over what the national average is, as in what we're doing to make sure that more people on the van to get to their destination on time. The next one is a picture of the ambassadors, where they're on the bus. One of the ambassadors, he's assisting a wheelchair customer and helping them to lock down a wheelchair as the operator would normally do, but the ambassador is there to assist to load the wheelchair while the operator is operating the fare box. The next one is a trolley, where another ambassador is helping a customer that's blind, that's on the trolley, and she's assisting him on the trolley to ask him where he's going, where to get off at, and helping him with his fare. The next photo shows another ambassador on a bus, assisting a wheelchair patron to make sure that they're in the right position to use the wheelchair new system we have on board, where you're facing backwards on the bus. It was new to a lot of people, so she's assisting to show them how that works. The next picture shows at a transfer center, at the MTC and UATC, where we're giving directions to customers. And then also at MTC, another ambassador helping a person that just got off a Greyhound bus that comes into there, and also with the Flix bus also that comes into MTC, assisting them to get around town to give them directions. As I mentioned earlier, other cities have ambassadors wear red shirts or some type of loud color that you can identify. So this lady's getting off a Greyhound, and she's trying to figure which way to go. So our ambassadors are there to help them get off the Greyhound and direct them to any point of interest in the city of Tampa. Questions? Yes, ma'am.
For the concern that Ms. Payton had brought up, what category would that fall under as far as her total ride time?
So the total ride time, how we figure out the total ride time, if you was on a fixed route bus, from the time that you are walking from your home to the bus stop, to get on that bus, to getting off that bus and get to your destination, it's a total time that's comparable when you're riding paratransit, and that's from the FTAs and how that we monitor the times. Unfortunately, sometimes, as I said, our system, there are hiccups that we do have, and we apologize deeply for her having to be on a van that was going to a different location than where she was going. Because as she mentioned, it was another van that had 2 patrons on it that was going to the South Tampa, and she had to go to another area. So we're going to look into that to see how we can correct those things that we do. So it's always a learning curve what we're doing. So that way we make sure we do it right, because we never get it right the first time, but give us a second chance and we'll make it right.
And I am sure that consistently you probably have not as extreme ride hours, but I have heard from different advocates here and again about the extended time periods and logically some concerns about the scheduling of the rides. And, geographically, like you
Yes.
were mentioning, I think probably would help with that. But I have heard that concern, not frequently, but throughout time, so.
Yes,
Thank you.
and we're working on it to make it better.
Okay, thank you.
So what color are the shirts?
They're wearing fluorescent green shirts.
Okay.
They're not yellow, they're fluorescent green.
I think they're yellow.
This is Diane Luce. I had a question regarding the slides where, you were showing us the data on complaints and on-time arrival, and it looks like in general, things are trending well in the direction that we would
Yes.
like to see. By including those in the presentation on the ambassador program, are you representing that the ambassador program has influenced these numbers it's a part of what's influenced these numbers, or are you attributing the improvement in numbers somehow completely to the ambassador program? Can you talk about that, how the ambassador program directly relates? I understand the load balancing and the zone driving. Is there more?
Yes, we have a lot of different moving components that's at HART that works inside the paratransit, makes it work. From the time we receive our first call from a patron requesting a ride to the time we drop them off. There's a lot of moving hands behind the scene a lot of us don't see. So what happens is that the ambassador is just one part of it. They might be 5% of this percent, or it might be 10% on that side as in the overall picture as in how it works, but they do have a significant difference as in how the service has increased. So the team, as the paratransit team, customer service team, maintenance, just a whole operation have worked together to make sure that we're making sure our on-time performance has increased and our ride time on the van has decreased.
And I definitely agree that having an ambassador program is a wonderful thing. Anything that helps us to connect directly, and humanize the experience of traveling throughout the area. Are there plans to expand it, to have more individuals out there in more locations?
Well, we have expanded just a little bit, but we, right now, as what we're doing throughout the nation, as you know, we're shorthanded sometimes. And we don't want to take one body to another body to move over here. We're shorthanded on that side. So we got to be very careful how we move this and move it slowly, so that way we don't hurt another division just to make this division work perfect. So we want to make sure we bring them both up at the same time equally.
Very good. Would there ever be consideration for it being a volunteer type of program?
We had,
Go ahead.
go ahead, I'm sorry.
I was just going to say, you might get people, I don't know, maybe retirees who have experience using the system, who might have more time and a willingness, and a desire to go out and and help. It was just a thought.
Yes, and we have looked at bringing retirees in on a part-time base to work in the ambassador field, and that's something we're still exploring to see how that works. But as I say, this is a pilot program to make sure it works first before we move it to the next level.
I'll be looking forward to hearing how it progresses.
All right, thank you.
Thank you for all that information. I have a couple questions as well. Can you actually go back to that slide? I'm sorry. The one that you were on that had the complaints that went up. Yes. I'm a little bit confused about the difference, I guess, between the van arrival time schedule and what are the other types? Are there just general complaints?
Yes, ma'am.
Got it, okay. And so the next slide, general complaints, we had like twice as many as we did the quarter before.
It's a quarter, so we're comparing from on the two sides, you got the first quarter and then you got second quarter. So yes, there is a difference in the two. I can go back for this one here. We had one, and 23 had 98 and 27, and this one had 51 and 49. So it went down just a little.
Okay, I was just curious about that. And then my other question with the ambassadors, I agree, I think this is a great pilot program, and I really am excited to hear the future of what's going to happen. I was curious, are these individuals full-time at MTC or UATC, or is it just certain hours of the day that they're there?
They're full-time. So what we've done, they regular shift that they bid it on, they're working during that time. So
Okay.
they might come in at 4 in the morning and they do get off at 11:30, or come in at 7 and go to 3. Then we got some that comes in around 10 that gets off at 8 or 9.
Okay, thank you so much. Well, I really appreciate it, Mr. Fields. Thank you for your presentation.
Thank you.
Okay, the reports are next. The chair's report. I do not have a chair's report today. I didn't know if anybody else, if Arizona's not on today, correct? Okay. And the next is the basic transit infrastructure update. Mr. Dwayne Brown, Project Manager 1, you are recognized.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Dwayne Brown. I'm the Basic Transit Infrastructure Program Manager here with HART, and I'll be giving you a basic transit infrastructure update for this quarter. There you go. All right. So the first slide is the BTI project stages. So we have 4 current projects in design, 2 in permitting, and we have a couple of projects that have been completed during the last quarter. The current projects that we have going right now, we have 21st Avenue at 40th Street that's currently in permitting, and that one we are going to be upgrading that stop to a shelter stop. Then we have the 21st Ave at 43rd Street. That one is right in front of our operations building there. We're going to be putting in a bus bay there in order to bring the bus off the road to allow the better flow of traffic in that area. We completed a project at Columbus and Florida Avenue. That project was to upgrade that bus stop and fix some of the ADA issues that we had there. We completed a project at Manhattan Avenue and Oklahoma Avenue, and that project there too, we completed 2 bus stops there, the 2 complementary bus stops that are there, fixing ADA issues. We also have the project at Memorial Highway and George Road. This project is currently in design. It was a project that was paid for by a contract by a developer, and we are just fulfilling that contract. That kind of went back a couple of years ago that they gave us funding in order to do that. So we are trying to get that project completed. Then we have a project in design at Hillsborough Avenue and 43rd. This project we're doing in conjunction with the Hillsborough Board of with the Hillsborough Education, with the Department of Education. I'm bumping over my words here, but they gave us an easement in order for us to put a shelter there. That is a high ridership stop, and we work with the with the education, with Hillsborough Education in order to get that done. We are going to be doing 4 stops along Main Street and Willow. Along Main Street, it was 2 at Willow Ave at Main Street, and then 1 at Rome, and then 2 at Rome Avenue. And we're going to be fixing ADA issues that they have at those stops. With the update on our new shelters, we originally had 69 shelters that were purchased. We had purchased 61 shelters as a part of our first tranche of shelters, what we got in, the new style shelters, as you can see on the slide. And then 8 were purchased by developers, so we had a total of 69. And then we just purchased another 16 shelters, and we also had an additional shelter that was purchased by a developer. And so that brings us up to a total of 86. This slide's a little bit outdated. It should say 66 shelters that are now currently installed and out. Right. So this is a slide. This is for new this quarter. This slide it represents all of the projects that have been completed by either FDOT, the county, or the city, or developer. So in my capacity as the Basic Transit Infrastructure Program Manager, I work with different departments in order for them, different entities, in order for them to help us build a transit-friendly Tampa transit facility, transit-friendly Hillsborough County. And some of these projects take years in the working. They have projects. FDOT could have a project in planning for 5-10 years out, and we work with them to get transit for them to upgrade all their transit along their different routes. Developers, when they come in, they have an obligation according to the Hillsborough County Land Development Code in order for them to build transportation into their plans, and so that we can bring people to their facilities and get people there. We had sometimes we miss them, sometimes we catch them, and sometimes they just try to get away with it. But we always are out there. We're always looking for a way for a partnership to come in for us to be able to get stops done for relatively cheap and not come out of our pockets. During the last quarter, we went out to some of these spots, and we had 39 stops that were upgraded to meet ADA by the county, developers, or the FDOT. And so that's great news. And they're always doing them. We're always working with them. We have other projects that's going right now. We have a project going where they're building off of 301 and Causeway, where they're building a big Coca-Cola facility there. They're going to provide us bus bays and stuff, and it's going to be a lot of different developers are out there as well, where they're going to be providing us stuff. So as those come in and as they're built, we're going to update you guys on those as well. Any questions?
Are there any questions?
I'm sorry, you say Coca-Cola's building at 301 and Causeway?
Yes, they have a very large facility what they're building there, and there's also as a part of that development, they're also going to bring storefronts there and different things. Their facility that Coke is building there is like 600,000 square feet, and then they're going to be building storefronts and housing and other stuff right along in that area. So right at the corner of Causeway and 301.
Sounds like the Route 46 needs to come back there.
So, yeah.
That was my reason for asking. We need transportation up Causeway then.
Yes.
Get a lot of people to that facility.
Yes, sir. Well, we're always thinking about it. If as funding allows, we are always, even if funding isn't there, even if we don't have a route there, the development that's going on across the county, it's a huge amount of development going across the county. There's a lot of housing that's going in. There's a lot of infrastructure that's coming in, and it's going to generate ridership. Is going to generate places for people to want to go there. And so my job is to try to get the developers and try to get the county and try to get the city to ensure that it's transit friendly, that they're able, that it's not just an afterthought, that HART isn't coming in at the tail end trying to build something that would have cost them pennies on the dollar and it's going to cost us $50,000, $100,000 to build. So that's my goal. That's what I work with every day. As you can imagine, it's a lot of projects that's going on around Hillsborough County. So it's a lot of work, but I love it.
How can we help?
I would say that with the city and the county, the city and the county, they have a land development code people. I don't want to call anybody names out or anything like that, but they work with us very closely to ensure that that when projects meet the threshold for us to have for a transit to be included into their project, they try to help us out. I would say for the ADA committee and for anybody else in the public, to just make sure that you're talking to the city and to the county, saying, hey, make sure you get transit in these projects. Keep talking it up, saying, hey, if they're building a huge complex where they're going to be housing hundreds of thousands of, thousands of families, whatever. They have, where they have units of over 1,000 housing units going in, or if it's going to be a big, huge facility where you're going to be bringing 10,000 jobs in, where you're going to have people want to move back and forth there. We want to get people there. We need to be saying, hey, we need to make sure that transit is included in that plan and not be an afterthought, because they will, because what we found is that transit isn't on everybody's mind, especially developers who are looking at their bottom line, trying to find a way to cut money. They will just totally forget about transit if we don't keep it on their mind.
And sidewalks.
And sidewalks, yes,
Yeah.
And pedestrian signals and things.
yes.
So when such projects are being developed, I know that the county turns to these developers and says, look, you're bringing a lot of people in here, you need to do something about the roads, and they are required to have a plan to create the proper traffic flow. Is there something that HART does in the same respect that says, look, you're going to be employing people and not all these people are going to be able to drive, you need to plan for transit and you need to help us create a route out here? Is there some way to do that?
As far as creating a route, that goes with, that's a part of service planning, and that goes into the TDP. However, when, like I was saying before, there's a group that meets, and we also get emails regarding when they're building and when they're rezoning, and we have an opportunity to look at it and say, this project is going to be this size, and we would like to see transit here, regardless of if there's a current route going there or not.
Are there any other questions or comments? I have a couple. I wanted to just emphasize the 39 ADA compliant stops. I just really appreciate that was a collaborative effort between you and the Department of Transit and FDOT. So I really appreciate just multiple people being involved in getting those up to, compliance. And then I just wanted to emphasize you in the being the glue for this and really kind of seeing things ahead of time. I just appreciate that foresight.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay.
I have a comment,
Yes.
Maddie.
Please.
You asked the great question, how can we help? So based on what you're sharing, it almost sounds like it's just sort of a courtesy notification to HART that there are construction projects that are happening as opposed to a requirement of the developers to pull you in?
There is a requirement for them. So as a part of the land development code, there are certain thresholds that they have to meet, and then as a part of that, when they're building, they have our number to contact the county, or the city gives them our number, my number in particular, to contact to say, hey, what do you need? sometimes that process, if you know, it's like if you have thousands and thousands of projects, which literally that's what we have. If you have thousands and thousands of projects that's going on, sometimes it can slip by. Sometimes a contractor can look at it and go through it and be like, oh, I'm going to skip this part. And then they are 5 years into their project, and then once they're trying to get their certificate of occupation, that's when they'll be coming back to us. That's when the county hits them and say, hey, have you contacted HART to think about it? And then they're coming to us saying, well, we've been planning this for years, and they try to sneak it by us at that point. And it's kind of a little late on that point to do it. But we try to do our best to make sure that we catch them in the beginning. But we catch them. It's a requirement for them to do, and we try to catch them in the beginning. But sometimes we catch them at the end, and then it's kind of a little bit of maneuvering in order to get it done near the end.
No, I completely understand that piece. The 11th hour is a little too late for major changes for the construction project. The reason why I ask is that I wonder if there could be the requirement at an earlier threshold. I hear clearly from you that there's a requirement to contact HART, but I wonder if there should be, within a certain time period of the development of the project, that could be a requirement to make sure that they're seeking the feedback from HART so that it could then be incorporated into the plans.
I'm not quite sure what their processes are or what the requirements are for them to contact us. And when in the process, they are required to contact us. And it could be very well that they are required to contact us before they get that 30% plan or while they're doing the initial planning of it. But I'm not quite versed in the rules for the land development code for the development departments for Hillsborough and the city.
Because quite honestly, if there was a requirement at 30% and they failed to do that, it's my understanding that no matter where they are then, that based on feedback, that those plans could be shifted and changed to make sure that the
Yes, ma'am. So that's kind of what we're dealing with like I was mentioning with the Coca-Cola project that they have going on out there, and they're going to be building some other stuff. They were late in the process. If you've driven by there, if you rode out there, you can see the facility is already up, and they are in the process. And they are in the process of building roads and everything in there. And construction is already started and already almost complete, and they just now are coming in to ask us about what we needed and how we needed it. And so that's when the work comes in. So now we got to come in and work with them, and we have to say, okay, from a BTI standpoint, how does a bus stop fit in here? We would have put it here had you told us before, but now we have to shift it to go to another spot because how you built the road. So it's a lot of finagling, and it's a lot of talking through it and making sure that not only we're not trying to gouge anybody on the cost of building it, but they also know that they kind of made a mistake, and now on the back end it's going to be a little bit more expensive for them to build it. So catching it in the beginning is a lot easier to do than catching it at the end.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
But that might be actually where we might be able to make some influences, saying, at the 30%, that absolutely has to be reviewed and feedback come back. I don't know.
Especially with new development, that makes complete sense that this needs to be ahead of the game instead of an afterthought. We're catching up with ADA 34 years later, right, with things that have been around for a long, long time. But if it's new development, it seems like it needs to be happening right away.
Yeah, and this is Diane. Also that it seems like maybe there could be better communication between the county and the city and HART regarding these projects. I don't know if they're relying on developers to contact you.
So no, they don't rely on developers to contact us. The system that they have is a little bit. They send us an email. So they have a person who sends out emails, but I can get 30 emails in the morning, And then by the time I go back, I could have got 30 emails this morning. And by the time I get back to my office, I could have an additional 50. And then there's another 50 that comes in after that, and there's another 50. And then now all of a sudden, I got 100 emails, and I have to go through each and every one of them to look at, to look at it and say, this particular site is this big, and it's going to require this, and it's going to require that. So it could be, it's a little bit hard for me because I'm a one-man show, for me to be able to do that part of the job, because that's a full-time job to be able to look at all of those different things and also do the job, what I'm doing is as far as putting shelters out and putting bus stops out. So it's difficult, but we try to get through as much as we can and try to catch it as where we can.
Sounds like you need help. Yeah, because eventually what will happen if things like that don't change and the area continues to grow is we're going to see more people coming in here and voicing their complaints.
Yes, ma'am.
Because it'll all come back to accessibility, and at least with a certain part of the population.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you for everything you do.
You're welcome.
Yes, thank you. I have one last question to piggyback off of that. Maybe like a solution for that is we can maybe borrow or explore what other cities and counties have done as far as like, is it always an email that the developers are sending you an email? Because that doesn't seem like the best way. Maybe it's a form or like something they need to fill out where it gets captured 100% instead of it being mixed in with all of the other work that you're doing, because that's a lot to be keeping track of. And I think there's a lot of things that can be automated at this point where it's maybe a little easier for all parties. So that's just a solution potentially. Any other questions or comments for Mr. Dwayne Brown? Thank you for your presentation.
You're welcome.
Okay, the next report is from Ms. Catherine Sanchez, Customer Service Supervisor. You are recognized to present.
Thank you, Vice Chair, Committee, Mr. Edwards. I'm Catherine Sanchez, Customer Service Supervisor. I will be giving the updates for HART Plus and for Yellow Cab. So we'll start with HART Plus. Our ridership for the month of March was a total trips of 12,923 with an on-time performance of 85% for the window and for 97% for the appointment drop-off. For April, we had a total of 14,515 trips with an on-time performance of 82% for the window and 96% for the appointment. And for Yellow Cab, they performed for March 5,336 trips, which of those 92 were late. And in April, there were 6,342 trips. 81 of those were late, and it's about a 1% to 2% late rate. And we do meet with the management in Yellow Cab weekly, so we're up to date with the stats. And that concludes my update. Thank you.
Thank you. The next scheduled meeting, follow-up. Next is follow-up requests. I apologize. Ms. Sanchez will provide highlights from the follow-ups from the board members' requests.
Thank you again, Vice Chair. Yes. So I will go ahead and give the follow-up updates from last meeting that you have in your packet. And what do we got? So we'll start off with the travel training program. I know many of you are very interested in that program, and we're very excited to officially say that we have a travel trainer, Mr. Ernest Fernandez, or Ernie, as he likes to be called. He started with us in March, so he's still in training. He has an extensive background in teaching and community service, and he is bilingual. And he also has transit in the family because his father is a retired HART bus operator. Very good, yeah. So for the next couple of months, we will be restructuring the program, so we will definitely appreciate any of your input. But for the meantime, you're more than welcome to invite us to any of your outreach events and things like that. Hopefully for the end of the year's ADA meeting, then Mr. Ernie will present the committee with. Next, we have more good news. So Mr. Jenkins is not here, but hopefully he has the seal of approval. So we have the bus stop lighting shelter at Boy Scott. And if you see in your package, we have an image there with a brighter light, and I think somebody made a comment that you can get a suntan. Like they say, 3 times the charm, so hopefully he gives us the okay. All right. Next update is for the HART Plus application online. So I want to start off with thanking Mr. Greenblatt, Mr. Guizdala, Ms. Raquel Pancho, and Ms. Diane Luce for working closely with our web designer. He's also a new web designer, Mr. David Grooms, and our leadership team in this process. We still have, we are in the early stages of procurement, so we do have, some new software, some updating of our policies. We want to modernize the service and make it more accessible for all. So we have more to come, but we are committed to your recommendations, and one of the applications is to separate it from Spanish to English. And lastly, it is the updates for the paratransit ride times. Thank you, Mr. Guizdala, for including the DOT and ADA regulations link, frequently asked questions. We also have it on our HART Plus Riders Guide under onboard time, and it explains that our travel time on paratransit is comparable to on taking that same trip on fixed route. So like Mr. Fields said, it's from your starting point, traveling to the bus stop, waiting for the bus, including transfers, and then to your final destination. So that whole time, it helps to verify that information in Google Maps. We use trip planning, and it tells you the entire time of the trip. In our eligibility coordinators, during our eligibility interview, we do have a checklist that they go over all those rules, and they mention that one. So as a standard, we try to keep 60 minutes or under, but again, there are going to be circumstances where that exceeds that time. So an example would be long distances. So if we're booking a trip of 20 miles plus, especially with the traffic here in Tampa, that you're going to be longer on the van. So this is something that we do recommend our customers is to, if they can possibly have a flexibility, is to maybe travel during our low peak times. So our high peak times, riderships days are Wednesdays and Mondays. And our peak times are 7 to 9 a.m. and 2 to 4 p.m. So our lowest is Tuesdays and Thursdays, and then of course, avoid rush hour. So if that's a possibility, then definitely it will minimize any delays on there. We do keep close stats on that length of time. So we are looking at the length by 60 minutes, 90 minutes, and 2.5 hours. So those are stats that we are looking at, and we have them. What else do I have? I would just say if you do have any concerns, whether it's the length of time on the van, whether it's HART Plus, ADA, or buses, I'm in customer service, so please do give us a call, give us the specific details. That way we are more than happy to take a look into them and address anything that you might have. So, all right, and that is the end of my updates. Thank you so much.
And Catherine, the specific details I've been taught are route, time of day, possibly driver name. I can't remember it was always helpful for people had concerns that I provide information to HART, and I can't remember the information. So
we could just keep it just basic to the who, when, what, where. So it would be very helpful, and of course on a timely manner, because things happen and then we forget what time. So definitely, even if it's not the operator so much the name, but if you can get the information of the route, the day, the time, and then the direction. Because if we look at 400, you got 3 going that way, 3 going this way. So those specific details are going to help us. And we do have a program, Swiftly, where we have a GPS system in there, and we can actually track it back. But that's on the bus. We don't have it on paratransit, but on our paratransit side, we can actually go back into the customer's trips or yellow cab and see the time of day. But it does help to have those details. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, the next scheduled meeting is scheduled for August 15th, 2024, starting at 1:30 and concluding at 3 p.m. We are now at the agenda section. Roundtable discussion. Each committee member will have 3 minutes to allow opportunity for everyone to share updates. Okay, so I think I'm a little confused.
Does that include us? I don't know.
I'm going to ask Catherine. Does that include? Yes.
Okay.
Okay. So I guess I will begin. And I do not have any specific updates from this quarter, and so we're going to start, I think we'll just go to the left.
Okay. Thank you, Vice Chair. Again, this is Catherine. I just wanted to put it out there, and I want to thank everybody in advance and apologize for any delays. We do have temporary understaffing in our department. They're for good things, though. We had a promotion, so Ms. Kemley Green was promoted to Director of Marketing and Communities. I'm going to miss her deeply. And then Brian Abrams was also promoted to our Learning and Development Manager. So that means we're 2 managers down. And then our admin, Ms. Mona Caravan, after 35 years, retired. So that's 3 positions down. So we are doing the best that we can between Mr. Fields, Ms. Wilburn, and myself is to try to get back to you on your concerns. But there is going to be a little bit of a delay. So thank you for your patience, and we appreciate all that.
So Catherine, does that mean that you're now my point of contact whenever I have?
I'm always here.
Okay, okay. Thanks.
She forwarded her extension to my phone, but yes, she still loves you guys. It's just, I'll be your backup in case.
Thank you so much.
A pleasure.
Diane?
Yes, this is Diane Luce from Lighthouse. You have nothing to worry about where I'm concerned because I work for a nonprofit. We're also short-staffed. I have several hats that I switch back and forth between during my week. So I had a question this week. I sent it by email to Kemley. She responded, copied you. I got my answer really quickly. I never would have known anything was up by the response time. So thank you. I don't have anything to comment on except I just wanted to say thank you to HART for inviting me and also Mr. Guizdala to the recent bus and van workshop that had an emphasis on serving people who are visually impaired. It's the kind of session that I really like. It felt like a really good working session. I love opportunities to brainstorm, and it was really nice to collaborate and brainstorm with people from all different parts of HART, and including operators, and so I found that very satisfying, and I just hope to see the fruits of that. I think I'm looking at some of it on our agenda, but we'll see. So looking forward to, as I said, seeing the fruits of that, and then any other opportunity in the future to be involved that way. So thank you again for that invitation, for including us.
That's great. Thank you so much. Marion?
There we go. And yeah, I've had a pretty busy HART quarter, so to speak. We had an opportunity, Scott, Mary, and I, Mary Schock and I, met with Scott Drainville, Luis Sierra, and Jackie Haldau, is that her name? Did I get that right? And Kemley Green, and discussed some of the challenges that we were facing and some of the solutions, and I felt like it was a really great meeting. Everybody was attentive. They listened to what we had to say, and we're starting to see some movement, some changes, and again, as Diane said, the agenda shows some of the things that we're moving forward on. And I did enjoy as well taking part in the workshop that they had on visual impairments and providing that input. And as a result of that, Diane invited me to take part in some HART training, and I think that some of the HART operators had an opportunity to hear from a seasoned blind HART traveler some of the challenges that we face and how they can be involved in resolving some of those. I just want to wrap up what Louise Payton had to say and reiterate, fill in some of the blanks, and that is that not only did 2 other people go to South Tampa that she could have been with, we went to Town and Country before we went to Brandon, and in that case, from Town and Country to Brandon, we passed by closer to Louise's place again, and within a mile of mine, but still went to Brandon and got there at 3:30 for a pickup that was scheduled at 4 o'clock. So we sat on the van for 30 minutes just waiting for someone to come on the van. That was time that was extremely wasted. So it's to me, it's more than just a hiccup because it happens quite frequently, but it's sort of like, you remember that girl that had the hiccups for like 3 years? And I hope we can resolve these hiccups more quickly than that. So anyway, that's my report, and want to move on because we got some things on the agenda we want to talk about.
Thank you for sharing your thoughts.
Thank you.
Comments?
No comments at this time. Just like to commend this committee for its hard work and also for the people who attended and given constructive information that's going to help us in the future. I just want to thank you all.
Thank you. Raquel?
This is Raquel. Sorry, I've not been saying that before I've spoken previously. A couple of comments. I want to thank HART for their responsiveness. I reported a sign that was definitely going to be a protruding object for people who had visual disabilities. It was very low, so I appreciate the responsiveness really quickly to addressing that. It was a temporary sign that was being placed. The Mayor's Alliance also wanted to do a trip on the trolley, a streetcar, I should say, in recent months, and Arizona Jenkins and I were the ones who actually took the ride. Was really thankful for the driver who recognized that he flagged them down, let them know that he was going to be on the platform so that he could load. There was no problem. The trolley was already parked, and they more than willingly backed up the trolley so that he would be able to load. So greatly appreciated for that. Arizona pointed out to me, and I'm embarrassed to note this, that on the ride to HART, the announcements weren't being made. So Arizona, the great advocate, was like, Raquel, do you notice the announcements are not being made? On the ride back, though, there was a driver that was in training, and he was making every single announcement. No concerns with that perspective. And the person who was doing the training was really emphasizing that access. And she actually even approached me afterwards to, see what HART might be able to do to continue to improve. So I appreciate the customer service and the impetus to proactively outreach after we raised the concerns with her about the previous ride not having the announcements and such. So thank you.
Thank you for those updates.
Yeah, I would say amazing job to Catherine and Catherine on your first sit-in at ADA Committee. Thank you guys, did a great job. And Stephen and Dwayne, great job on the presentations. And to Mr. Guadala and Diane, we will continue those type of collaborative type efforts. We truly believe in collaboration. We don't believe that we have all the answers, so we believe in community involvement, employee involvement. Also, we've recently hired a paratransit consultant that has over 35 years experience in the industry, working mostly in DC and that large agency, to come in and assist us and look at some of our processes, kind of streamline some of our processes, and some of them are outdated. So those are some of the fixes that we feel like we can immediately, get to a point where we can move forward. And so hopefully by the next committee meeting, I can have him either virtually or here to introduce himself and maybe do a quick presentation for you guys. But all in all, we look forward to continue to work with you and do everything we can to continue to move this forward.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
That's really exciting to hear about the paratransit consultant, and I was going to ask if we can maybe have them come in and introduce themselves or have maybe checkpoints on what progress were being made.
Absolutely.
That's great. Thank you. Okay, moving forward, is there anybody virtually that has any comments? No? Okay. Is there any old business? No?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that again, please? It's coming in and out, we can barely understand. We still can't understand.
It seems like it might be a bad connection.
Yeah. Yeah.
Catherine, can we move to new business?
She was,
Oh.
she is typing her comments in the chat.
Wonderful.
Okay. She did ask if, may they have the HART presenter contact information. So we will respond to that. If you'd like to move on, and then I can read her comments afterwards, if you
Sure.
prefer.
That would be great. So we're going to come back and read those comments after the new business?
Okay.
Okay. Under new business, Mr. Guazalda requested the committee discuss Heart Plus policies. Mr. Guazalda, you are recognized.
Thank you. So I think, and one of the things I heard was that some of the policies of HART, as it pertains especially here to paratransit, are probably at one time had some reason and justification, but now they're a bit burdensome. And so I wanted to have an opportunity to look at some of those policies, such as the length of time to book an appointment, and rather than 3 days, see if we can open it up a little bit to a week. And likewise, the cancellation of a trip. For instance, one example is if somebody works a weekend and they get a Friday and a Monday off. Today, they could call and cancel Friday's appointment, but they'd have to wait until Friday to cancel Monday's appointment rather than do them both at the same time. And narrowing some of the windows that we have. One of the windows, for instance, I had derm surgery last week, and so on Wednesday I have to go get some sutures removed all the way up in North Tampa, which is going to take me about 15 minutes, but I have to wait there an hour and a half before I can schedule a trip to come back. So I don't know what the reasoning behind that particular policy is, but if we can tighten that up, that would be helpful as well. So I made a list of some of the policies that I'd like to, and Scott mentioned to me, Scott Greenblatt, who's done a lot of work with us, that he had to go pick up his kids from school, but he couldn't do it by paratransit because he has 3 children and he can only have 2 companions. And I believe that it would be good if we could have the ability to schedule more companions and do that on a space available, but not have a strict, you can only have 2. If there's room, I believe that we should be able to have more companions. So those are some of the policies I'd like for the committee and for HART to consider modifying and changing. And I think it would benefit, these are all paratransit issues, benefit the consumer quite a bit. The ability to cancel, especially, if we can have the ability to cancel an appointment without actually speaking to someone to do so, because if you've got a 15-minute break and you call into HART and there's 10 people ahead of you, you're not going to get that ride canceled in 15 minutes, and then you're going to have a no-show. Oh, and in relation to no-shows, if we're 5 minutes late, HART can leave us, but if HART is 5 minutes late, we still pay the fare. I think I'd like to see an incentive for HART to be on time and a concession for us that if we have to wait for a ride, that we shouldn't have to pay for it. No, those are the policy changes I'd like to take a look at in our new business.
Marion, thank you so much for each of those. I believe you had a response, Mr. Edwards?
Thank you for that, Mr. Guazdala. Definitely, we can take all of those topics into consideration. I wanted to address, too, with technology. So currently on the bus side, we have a a procurement out for bid for a new CAD AVL system that has not been replaced or been updated in 15 years here at HART on the bus side. So we're in the almost final stages of getting that out. And after we get that out, we're also looking at new technology for our paratransit as well. That could open the doors to possibly having more automated type of booking processes. And then some of our challenges.
I'm sorry, can you translate the CAD, whatever you said?
Yeah.
I don't know what that means.
Yeah, CAD AVL is just the radio technology of, how you book trips on the paratransit side, how you would book trips, communication system that the dispatchers use, controllers use to communicate with operators, or on the paratransit side, it's like a, booking type of technology. Also tracking of buses' equipment.
used to be Acrobat?
No, currently is, what do we call it? Conduit. Yeah. So, yeah, we have that out for bid, we're looking at it. And then, some of the challenges we're having, as we look at funding and funding challenges for the organization, equipment, prior to COVID, we're 17% higher on ridership than we ever been. And even when you think of pre-COVID numbers, we're 17% higher on the amount of riders that's utilized, and that number continues to grow on a daily basis. So to be able to match our resources with, as more folks are moving to Tampa, more folks are learning about the system and things like that. So we're looking at all those things. So that's why I say collectively with this group, with our employees and with the consultant that we have coming on board, and then new technology, I think we're going to be looking really good to get where we need to be.
Yes.
Of those items, though, what do you think, which of those or which two of those do you think are the easiest to implement?
We really can take a look at all of them, and we can have those conversations. I know that Kimley had mentioned to me a couple weeks ago about the cancellation policy that you mentioned, and so we're starting to have conversations on that already. But the way I see it, we're not limited to anything. We can look at everything and try to see what we can tackle. This is just a perfect opportunity for us to advance forward. So thank you. I really like those topics that you provided.
So I'm trying to, could we, maybe one of the first things is to look at the cancellation policy? Not necessarily the time, but how to cancel. If there's an easier way to do it than sit on hold for a long time, maybe leave a message that someone checks every 15, 30 minutes or something, or notify that there's a message waiting,
Absolutely.
an option. Because again, when you got 15 minutes and you got to stay on hold, you'd rather do something else with that 15 minutes and sit on hold with HART.
Yep, absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you. Catherine has something to say.
Thank you, Vice Chair. This is Catherine. I wanted to shed some light on two of the bullet points. One would be the ability to transport multiple companions. I am aware that Mr. Greenblatt was trying to travel with his children. So in our rider's guide, there is under guest, it just says that if you are going to ride with one more guest, so it's a total of 3 passengers. One is the patron, one is a companion, if they're awarded a PCA, but if they're not, then they can add another companion. If they need a fourth or more, which is, it rarely happens, but if they do, it is space availability. So they just need to let our representative know, and then they need to communicate with our scheduler. And just to make sure that we're all on the same page, I just sent a reminder to my team and the scheduler, so we're all aware, and I let the representative reminder, because she's a little newer, so I did make that reminder. The other thing is for more efficient method of canceling trips than directly calling customer service. We don't have it currently on HART Plus, but I did want to remind everyone that Yellow Cab did implement their online portal early this year, and we've been using it, and you can cancel, schedule, and reschedule, so that might assist a little bit better with those same day or last minute stuff. Thank you.
Thank you for those updates. So I just want to ask for clarification on the ability to transport multiple companions. So currently, right now, there is the ability, it was maybe a misunderstanding for that specific instance?
Yes, correct, yes.
Okay.
And I went and I reviewed it when I saw the discussions with the new business. I went back and I reviewed it, and because there was a little bit of a misunderstanding, and then Mr. Greenblatt said, okay, I'll just go one way, but I wanted to make sure that we're all on the same page and that they can. It's just, we have to inform our schedulers, and they have to see if it's space availability for that.
Sure. And I have a question for Marion, because I feel like you have a little more context in the actual situation. Was he told no, or did he just know the rules?
No,
Like in this-
he called and tried to schedule it, and they told him he couldn't schedule
Okay.
it. Yeah.
Okay, okay, thank you. Are there any other comments pertaining to this? I completely agree. I think that the cancellation window, to have to wait 15 minutes because you're already having to cancel and then waste more time, I think that having either just an easier flow, easier process, I think being able to look at that's going to be really important. I appreciate you bringing that to everyone's attention. I also agree with the co-payment concessions. I don't think it would be fair for one party to have to pay and not another. I think rules should apply, and it should be reciprocal for both parties. Just want to put my comments in there. And I just want to say thank you, Marion, for really taking the time to go through these policies and with a fine-tooth comb and bring it to all of our attention and HART's attention so change can be made, because that's why we're sitting in these seats today. So I just want to say thank you.
Yes, thank you.
And I didn't really go through the policies, they just affect us this way.
Yeah.
So, they come to our attention. So
Yes.
there might be some policies there that I might want to look at that I don't know.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
My pleasure.
Okay. Our meeting will be over at 3. Are there any other comments? I think that's my last.
I will read Phyllis' comments into the record.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Yes. First, she stated she had 3. She mentioned 3. We would love to meet, have Ernie Fernandez, HART travel trainer, to their site, wanting his contact information. How can we contact him? And we will provide that information. Did mention she has not received any committee agendas or materials for this meeting or previous meetings, advising how could she receive those. So we will also get in contact with her to verify we have the correct information. And she mentioned the May 1st HART ADA workshop committee with Councilmember Vieira. We were not aware of it and not sure if it was an open invitation. So we will also get in contact and give detailed information of what the meeting withheld.
Thank you. Yes, I would also like to know if that was an open invitation. That would be helpful. Okay. Are there any, I guess, objections to ending or adjourning the meeting?
I move adjournment.
Okay, hearing none, the meeting is adjourned.